Okay, yes, sir.
Dr. Brown, shalom, you're awesome. Big fan.
Shalom, good Hebrew there. Check that out. All right.
Yeah. You talked a lot about loving and having compassion on people who are struggling with this. My question is more so, in my family, my wife and I have friends that identify themselves as Christian, but they're in support of the homosexual movement. How do you go about starting the conversation with them so it doesn't necessarily lead to debate or tearing each other's heads off?
Yeah, well, it may anyway. I mean, that's just the reality. This is a hypersensitive issue, and it's a great spiritual battle. There's a lot of emotion, and the church has not always been perfect in this regard. So to start a conversation, you can say, I was at a really interesting teaching, or can you be gay and Christian, or I learned some things in the Bible. So you always ask questions first. Why do you feel this way? And then you ask this question. If you were convinced scripturally that the Bible was against homosexual practice, would you stand with God in the Bible, or would you reject the Bible? I interviewed on the radio a few years ago a Methodist pastor named Frank Schaefer. And he had just been defrocked by his denomination because he, quote, married his son and his son's partner. And he was heartbroken over it. He thought he did a loving thing. What could be wrong with it? Okay, so I asked him later in the show if he was 100% sure that God approved homosexual practice. He said, no, I'm not 100% sure of anything. I said, so hang on. If a Muslim terrorist put a gun to your head and said, deny Jesus or die, you're not 100% sure that you die, that Jesus is Lord? So I said, well, what would happen if your son came back to you and said, Dad, I made a terrible mistake. I realize now that God does not want me married to this man. I made a terrible mistake. I said, if he said that to you, would that cause you to restudy the scripture? He goes, oh, absolutely, of course. I said, that's your whole problem, man. The Bible says whoever loves father or mother or son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. So you have to really find out where their allegiance is. And then say, show me why you think this scripturally, and then just see how far it'll go. See how willing they are to follow these things. And what I've normally found is that people who get very zealous have the first layer only. When you challenge what they've heard, the talking points, they don't have an answer. And either they'll just write you off and get angry, or they'll say, wow, that's a good, I never thought of that. And then you can go back and forth. So that's how I would approach it.